Well, my name's Robert Jones, Head of Business Development at BAT Software, work alongside Charlie. Charlie's our CEO. We have today, the plan is just to informally really demonstrate the BAT Compliance Manager tool with a primary focus on AI file checking. So that's really our flagship tool, and that's why most of you are all here. Effectively, what we've done is built an AI model with the primary purpose of replicating the file checkers process. So we have two key products within that AI file checking model, and that is completeness check and suitability and advice check. So suitability and advice check is due to land next month, and we'll give you a bit of information about that today, how that will look, and we'll obviously be able to demonstrate our AI completeness check and how, and just maybe explain how that can benefit you. Some of you may have seen this before in demonstrations or videos or information. Some of you are already BAT clients. For those that are not, I'll do a brief overview. I'm assuming everyone can see my screen. And what you're seeing at the moment is the BAT dashboard. So effectively, BAT Compliance Manager, we'd like to say, is a CRM add-on or expansion, purely focused on compliance, SMCR, and has a few other kind of features therein. So this dashboard is fully customizable. Effectively, whatever individual is logged into the system, they can customize what they need to see on a daily basis. And you can see down the left-hand side, this is our kind of primary taskbar. For today, we'll focus on compliance. So this module really is 6 different tools, all centered around compliance, mainly focused and designed on the UK advice market. And is focused on, of course, investment, mortgage protection, etc. So the 6 pods here, we've got audits, just a central way of storing and managing audits. We've got inquiries and complaints and breach register, which are of a similar format. And you've got a promotion checking tool, which is very, very popular, as well as custom register. Custom registers are effectively designed to take all of your information off the spreadsheets, off Excel, keep them securely on the cloud through our Amazon UK-based servers and be able to manage them as they're linked throughout the system. So I'll just show you quickly inquiries and complaints, a really popular area, and just gives you a flavour of what we're trying to do here at BAT. So you can see if there's 5 or 6 complaints here. If I was to go into edit, you'll see a purposely built workflow designed by our compliance experts. And you can see it goes through the relevant steps. So that's really what we're trying to do at BAT. We're trying to take that liability away from compliance managers and oversight, have a system that automates reminders and keeps everyone right effectively. So I thought I'd just share that with you. So if I go back into compliance, we'll go to today's main focus, which is file checking. So this used to be an area where file checks were managed and been able to be automatically redirected to personnel that file checking maybe internally or externally. But now, of course, with AI, it's really grown arms and legs. So this file checking view that you're looking at the moment is effectively the queue. So this lists all the file checks recently and works in conjunction with our business book. So the business book, which is linked here, excuse me, is effectively what's duplicated automatically from your back office CRM system or Excel spreadsheet, whichever way you manage your business. So we have a direct link with IntelliFlow, and what this will do is just duplicate all the data automatically and bring it over from IntelliFlow to be able to be pushed through for file checking. You can see here on the left-hand side, you can always ad hoc request file checks, and similarly, you can always ad hoc add different policies or bulk upload direct to BAT, because it can be used as a standalone system. For today's purposes, let's just assume there is no integration link. There is no bulk upload, and we're just going to do an independent file check just for demonstration purposes. So if I click this button, New Independent File Check, you'll be hit with a basic screen that says relative information needs to be filled out. So I'm the advisor today, I'm doing new business. We'll do an ISA. It's a post-sale, and I'll just put the client, our name is John, and Doe for today. And you can see down here, we've got a multi-upload tool, which I'll click into, and I've got my preloaded dummy data demo documentation here. So I'll just select all these and open. Takes a short second to upload. Once done, you can see they're all uncategorized for the moment. That's actually quite important. We'll see why in a second. And then I'll just click send request. So this is just, as I said, the process for an independent file check. So I've just sent the request, waiting for it to load. I think maybe the bandwidth is affecting this in the call, but let's see. I've always got a backup, as it always doesn't work on the demo, as we know. So when I click send request, I'm hoping this goes through it. There we go. Okay. So this one here for John Doe, as you've seen, I've just uploaded, has created a file check on the queue, and it gives you the snapshot of information as well as a snapshot of the completeness analysis once it has ran. So I'll click into this file check and view it. You can see again the file check workflow, the basic request details, the status. This file check scoring will be more relevant maybe when we get to Q2 and advice and suitability checking is included. But for now, it is a space for if there's a manual check conducted, this is where the file checker's information or their report will come. So if I click into the files that were uploaded, you can see they're all analyzing with AI. The turnaround time at the moment, I'd say, is around 2 to 3 minutes, but we'll see on this call how long it takes. It always depends on how many people are using the system, but we are aiming for real time, if not under a minute by Q2. So it's getting quicker by the day. So what it is actually doing here is it's analyzing first the underlying documentation. So no matter what the naming convention is, these could be called documents 1 to 8 or 1 to 7, or just fact find or FF. It will automatically recognize what's the information in the document and the structure of that and do auto categorization. So in a short moment, you'll see it'll start to categorize all of these documents and then apply the relevant question banks that we have associated to the document types. So this all this expertise and understanding effectively all comes from one of our key compliance partners, IFAC. Some of you may already be clients, some of you may not know them so much, but effectively follow a similar model to SimplyBiz, and they have file checkers in there with 15 to 20 years experience. What they've done is provided incredible insight and expertise into how to structure the minimum compliance standards in relation to file checking. So that's what we're doing today. We're applying what we deem the minimum compliance standards for each policy type and each document type to assess files for completeness. So that means, in theory, for your practice, you'll have a view on your own minimum standards. We will replicate these and make sure that every piece of business pushed through the business has to be greenlit to those minimum standards, allowing then either a manual file check or, as of next month, an AI file check. So while that's loading, I do have one that's already done. So it usually takes a few minutes. But one of the things I'll talk about is the custom gradings and custom review forms. So this, we're heavily focused on customization. We know every single business is different across the UK. You all have different views on standards, criteria, scoring, relevant documents, mandatory documents. You may even have your own internal documents that we can also check. We just need to create custom models. So in my company, which is a lot where the customization comes, you'll see this section for AI rules. What this does is allows you to come in and ad hoc customize your AI model at any time. So if I just did an ISA, for example, I can click investment, my investment fact find, and then these are all the data points we might look for at this time, just our standard model. So soft facts maybe not something you include in your own fact find, so we can simply set the importance to ignore, add the custom rule, and then all the relevant fact find checks after that point will not allow soft facts to affect the overall completion percentage. So I'll go back into compliance and I'll go into file checks. So if you just give me a second, here we go, and we'll just go into this one here because it's already loaded. So as you can see, the system has auto-categorized all of these documents and run analysis. Now at the top, these are the completeness categories. And the reason why they're set up as categories is because fact find information might actually come across several documents depending on your process. So that's why we did it as categories. So I'll click into fact find. And you can see the original fact find preview on the right-hand side, as well as the insight or the analysis summary report. So what the tool has done is looked and scanned the document. It doesn't matter if the document is a PDF, a Word document, handwritten, the OCR reader will still understand the documentation, failing any maybe doctor's handwriting. And then it will do its assessment based on your own criteria and display the output here. So you can see it's located the name of the client, the date of birth, the annual income, their net monthly income, monthly expenditure, etc., and any assets. So we can go down and have a look and just invalidate that they are there. So I'll just pick one. I think assets are on page. It tells me what page. So if I go to page 6, you'll be able to see the assets. I'm just losing track here. Yep, here we go. So house 325, car 40, and then the total. So it's just extracting the relevant information that we need to see. And again, similarly with the missing information, it's highlighting what's missing. So let's assume that you do look for soft facts and vulnerability in the fact find. You can see here, well, client address, it's of standard importance, it's missing, and therefore it's been flagged and the document's been deemed incomplete. So you're really setting your document benchmark across all advisors to ensure that they're hitting the relevant benchmark. So that's for a fact find, and that's fairly straightforward, as the document labels, the data points, tend to be labeled. But if we open up something like a suitability report, where it becomes a bit more complex, obviously the tool has to read and understand the document to be able to provide the output. Now I've put in a bit of dummy data here, hence why the construed numbers. But again, you can see based on the assessment, we agreed you best fit the profile under ATR. The document's actually reading and understanding and providing its feedback in relation to the output. So this is where the complexity starts to increase and how we start to get kind of ever so close to the next step, which is advice and suitability checking. So what does that mean? What does completeness do for me as a business? Well, of course, it improves the overall kind of quality standards of the documentation. You can set the X amount of documents per policy type that you want your advisors to meet, and then obviously all the content within. Another thing that we'll do, we'll cross-reference all of that documentation to ensure it's consistent. So the fact find should be for John Doe, as should the suitability report and any other relevant documentation. It's checking for consistency, not only between the documentation, but also between what's in the documentation and what's on the back office CRM. Because as you know, as I mentioned, whatever's on the CRM is duplicated onto BAT, and then we can run an analysis between that. So really you're having an admin management tool as well with Completeness Tool, just overall improving those efficiencies. So Completeness Tool gets us to the stage where we're saving 30 minutes per file. Well, our file checker is. When we speak with IFAC or file checkers and compliance experts, every time they pick up a file, they need to do an assessment to ensure that they have everything they need. And that can be quite a laborious task. And if there is any back and forth or missing docs, they can't proceed without receiving them. So it's really great to bring this check really to the operational side, to the front end office, to save time later down the line. Another time-saving feature is this start new review. So if I'm a file checker, I'm coming into this section and getting an immediate snapshot of what's present, what's available to me, and what's potentially missing. I can always go in and validate different areas. So if I clicked on this button here, it takes me into another tab and straight to the document where I can check page 8, is that there? So it really is a useful tool there. But let's just assume everything's there, everything's available to us as a file checker, that the document's been greenlit and it's ready to be file checked. So they all have their own forms already on the system. They simply click the default form or whatever form it is, and they go through this workflow like you've seen before in complaints and be able to fill out their scoring and advisory points. Now, as I mentioned in Q2, the first thing that we'll be doing when we launch our advice and suitability checking tool is basically taking users to this screen where this will already be pre-filled with suggested answers. So in relation to each section, each advisory point will be pre-filled and an estimated scoring is going to be given. So the file checker's purpose or role changes from complete file checker to effectively a validation role, where they're saying, going through line by line, yep, this makes sense, or I would tweak this, which will then ultimately tweak the overall output of the file check. So you can imagine the time saving really. Completeness Tool is saving on average 30 minutes per file. And of course, the saving should have a file check be fully automated, you're going from 2 to 3 hours to really 2 to 3 minutes. So you can see the massive time saving that the potential of the tool has. So in terms of commercials, We do have a cost per check associated with each file check. So at the moment, completeness checks, we charge £5 per check, and that's just to offset the cost of the AI processing and data processing. And again, with full file and suitability checking, effectively the full file check, the cost at the moment is £10 per check on pieces of business. So that is, in terms of an independent view, exactly how the tool will operate and how you'll be able to use the tool. So in an ideal scenario, each of you who use this tool, some of you may already be IO members, some of you have other CRMs that we'll look to build integrations into. We will bring all your documents and data through to BAT. We'll then give you the option to either automate file checks or manually select file checks, and you'll be able to do each file check, get an immediate output, an analysis, and then be able to send all of that information back through the form of a report to your back office CRM system or through triggered emails, etc. But what really is the benefit, aside from the individual file checking benefit to using an AI? Well, it's all really about the data that you can get out of that. So this full file checking list can be exported as an Excel, and you can do kind of daily sense checks if you wish. But again, it all feeds into the BAT reporting, which is really, really a key module for us. So it's on file checking here, and you can see this summarizes the scores per day, summaries per month, the number of submissions, and then it goes down to the X-ray test. So what's the failure areas? And as of next quarter, this is going to be split probably between completeness and advice and suitability checking. But for now, you can see all of the different failure areas per policy type. Obviously, I've got a bit of construed data in here, so it's not too accurate, but you can understand, right, I'm actually identifying areas of weakness either as a business or with individual advisors. So it allows you to take action on behalf of that. Now, one more thing, we can see under this reporting section in BAT, there's a few other tabs you might have noticed, and that's all taken from different areas of BAT. All of the information that's brought from the back office system is kind of spread out among the relevant sections in BAT, and you can utilize that data to create advanced MI reporting, really. So if I clicked onto risk, you'll see very shortly how risk is calculated across the business. This page you're seeing here is effectively designed, let's say the FCA come knocking, you've got a full report analysis on the business, which you can get immediately downloadable in a PDF. And that was the real focus of this section. Here we are in risk. This, I believe, is my risk scoring. So, yep, I'm fairly high on the risk scoring. So maybe not an individual to hire, but that's purely because I've got breaches and complaints in the system. So it's all calculated by file check risk score, KPI risk score, new business risk score, and gives either an overall advisor risk scoring or the business, which is really, really crucial for MI reporting. And you can start to make strategic decisions for your compliance department based on the output of advisors, the quality of their admin, the quality of their advice. And just having a centralized way of effectively storing, managing, and being able to analyze the business in its entirety for risk is certainly an asset. So what do we really do with this information? Well, especially the X-ray test on file scoring, you're starting to identify key areas where maybe you're slipping up or your advisors are individually slipping up. So what we want to do is then apply relevant training, or at least direct them in the right way to be able to automate that solution process. So you don't want to have to be as compliance oversight, but you're failing on XYZ or in GDPR, I want you to go to a course, attend a webinar, or sit some exams. We want to automate that process. So advisors are continually looking at their own reporting, staying on top of their own CPD. And that's why we've included the SM and CR section. So SM and CR, as you can see, 5 different areas. What I'm talking about is advisor T&C. So this training and module that you can see similarly to others in the market like Competent Advisor and such, it's effectively a training exam module. So all the exams and training here are actually provided by IFAC. You can provide your own, but again, conduct the training, set the exams, and then all of the information is then automatically added into the CPD register. You can global add CPD across the board for all advisors. Let's say for today's webinar, you can add that all in one go. Or again, you can conduct analysis at the end of the year. I've obviously not done any yet to show the progress. So that's the kind of workflow, and that's the thought process behind having file checking into reporting into basically actionable tasks that will overall improve that compliance effort by the company. One more thing I'd like to touch on, and today is going to be a relatively short overview, and that was the primary purpose, was advice and suitability checking. So you might be thinking, it's great, you can identify completeness checks, you can see if information is there and it's relevant and accurate, but how do you do advice and suitability checking? That obviously comes with higher complexity, but again, follows a similar structure. So advice and suitability checking, how we replicate that through an AI model is by training the AI model basically first. So you're preloading it with the FCA recommendations, the knowledgeable, the knowledge bases from the industry, knowledgeable experts are constantly fine-tuning and training that. And we're effectively applying that reasoning model and generative AI model to create an AI output. So the team at IFAC, with 20 years experience each of file checking, they have been validating the tool internally over the last kind of 2 years, really. And probably the best way to explain it would be for a mortgage. So in a mortgage recommendation, what is required to assess that mortgage recommendation is suitable? Well, you need to first check the background information of the client, all of the financial information, the AML information that's all been uploaded. Then based on the recommendation of the mortgage, we are recommending X mortgage for this reason. What areas of documents do we need to check? So we need to basically train the tool or structure the tool to have that framework to say, I'm checking the size of the loan given based on XYZ factors and all the other documentation. And then that's all fitting into a criteria which IFAC have deemed the industry standard. But that is completely template agnostic. It's entirely up to your own interpretation how that works. But what we're doing is providing a base template which you can tweak, add your own questions, add your own rules, add your own scoring criteria to effectively automate that full entire file checking process. We want to have the ultimate goal of automating every possible file check, saving you up to 95% in cost. And then, of course, the time dropping from 3 hours a check to you can run 50 simultaneous checks in under 2 minutes. So you can see the real measurable benefits and quantifiable benefits therein. So that's a real whistle-stop tour. There's many other features, and BAT operates as a kind of hybrid between a compliance manager and a very kind of basic CRM. We've added numerous other features at client request. We've got YOTI biometric ID checks that you can obviously take advantage of. Similarly to the smart citrus of the world, you'll see down the left-hand side, there's lots of other different features that you can. The system is fully module-based. Modules can be added and taken away. But again, I'm hoping I've been able to demonstrate the full system is designed to be customizable to fit your business. We're not coming in to try and change your compliance processes or business processes. We're trying to mirror them through the system, but automate where possible. So that really sums up the kind of overview that I wanted to do today. I'm sure a lot of you have kind of questions and things in regards to maybe the AI or other sections of that. I'd really love for this to be an informal discussion. If there's any questions at all, please either unmute and ask a question or type in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them for the next however long it takes. But I hope that was helpful and useful and was suitable in demonstrating the system.
Somebody's got to have a question. A couple of questions for you, Rob.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read
that? No problem. So can you review the CPD aspect again, please? Can I set training for the financial planners to complete? Yes. So CPD, it's again customizable. So you can set your own mandatory exams throughout the year. So you can have your AML exams, etc. But you can also have specialist exams that you can request from IFAC or other providers. But that's all set by management. So you can assign individual exams to advisors on an ad hoc basis or set structured exams right throughout the year. Steve, is this meeting available so I can discuss with the team? There'll be a meeting follow-up with all relevant information. We'll try and get the meeting recording over as well. We'll see how that's possible. But again, we can always conduct individual demos following today. So if you are interested in maybe further information about how this could fit your business or how we can bespoke it to your own compliance operation, we're happy to do kind of some more demonstrations individually. There's also the offer of testing. So most that have a demonstration, we advise them to take a trial of the tool, test the tool, and see how it reacts to your documents. Synced IntelliFlow, FE Cash Calc, Fact Find. Yep. So we have a direct integration with IntelliFlow. Any Fact Find, it will take even if it's never seen it before, it's just assessing it through an OCR reader for the individual data points. So we're confident it can react well to any FactFit.
And just on the integration, you inside IntelliFlow, you press a button to say send it to BAT, basically. And,
yeah.
And then BAT does its work and sends it straight back again.
Yeah. So to be a bit more specific, BAT's available in the IntelliFlow App Store, and that's effectively how the integration is completed. So we're actually doing a complete overhaul of the integration this month as well, which we're excited about and be out soon. So it'll just improve that user experience. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so just as a general follow-up, there will be an email that you receive after this webinar, which just gives you details to kind of follow up if you wish to have either a further demo or go into testing. We're really, really excited by the AI and the potential. And a lot of the current clients, current BAT clients, current AI clients as well are all providing great feedback, and we're constantly updating the tool. So we're excited for that, and we're excited for the next update at the end of this month, which we feel is just going to be revolutionary. Would the FCA recognise this as a plus, do you think? Well, I think that question is relatively frequently asked, and I think we're safe to say the answer would be yes. The reason being is most firms probably conduct, when you're looking at an industry average, spot checking. They maybe do 10, 20% across the business. They might have their own kind of admin check throughout the process, but having 100% oversight on all files for under a tenth of the price, I think certainly it can only be viewed as a positive. All of the file checks process as well relies on the original advisor's quality of advice as well. So all it is another layer. Sorry, Charlie, did you want to say something?
Well, I can add to that. I mean, disclosures, the vast majority of files that fail file checking fail because of disclosure, not because of suitability. The numbers vary, but roughly 80%. So this is a disclosure check. It's 100% checking, firstly. Secondly, it's auditable, so you can audit the process, or they can see the questions that have been asked and so on. And this can be done at pre-sale. So if you tell the advisor to, for instance, that every case has to be uploaded to the system, and they can't get, they're not going to get paid, or it's not going to get accepted or sent through to the underlying provider. That's up to you to decide. Until it's all gone green, you've therefore got 100% pre-sale file checking. It's astonishing. I mean,
I think as well, I mean, especially in terms of the use case, the fact that you can increase your percentage overall to what you're checking is the real benefit. Most clients and prospects that we spoke to over the last 6 months, their plan has been to maintain the same level of resource in terms of the file checking team, but able to allocate that resource to higher complexity, higher risk files or higher value files. And that's the real benefit. So we've been able to automate the majority of the run-of-the-mill case checks to get overall analysis and massive amounts of data on that, and be able to use that to make strategic decisions, as well as allocating your important limited resource to do the real important checks. I think that's where the real primary benefit comes in. As we conduct more and more checks, as the tool becomes even more and more accurate over time, I personally believe we will get to the point where we can do 100% advice and suitability checking across the board, and it will just be a case for file checking teams to maybe validate 1 in every 200. How long do you store the client data? So the client data is stored on BAT as if it would be on a CRM. However, in relation to the AI, which I assume your question's around, the AI processes the client documentation, but it's immediately deleted after use. So there's no client data stored within the AI at all. The way the learning works is the framework of the question. So let's say, what is the client's first name, and an answer given, and that format of that answer is stored and used for training purposes, but the actual specifics of the client data or any personal data isn't stored at all within the AI. And just again, maybe to other layers to that, it's Amazon based. We're backed and partnered by Amazon. We have a direct relationship with them, who they've contributed heavily to the tool's creation, as well as us giving feedback to them to how to better their side of the tool. So it's all UK based servers, and we've got a full due diligence pack that if anyone needs it, we can of course pass that on. For those that don't know as well, you shouldn't use, of course, ChatGPT or any public AI models, and that's for the risk of putting client and sensitive data out at a public level. So the way the tool works is, of course, a ring fence model, but each individual user of BAT, each individual client has their own ring fence model, which of course they can tweak, but also they can add their own customizations to, and then keep all their client data within that, of course.